Now we will transition into the 14th transition, which is the speech by our member, Sharon. And she has a lovely title, Need to Repeat, but it will be Jon who will introduce Sharon. Jon, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for not saying it was the final transition. When you're over the age of 40, you're worried about the overuse of that word. I will be evaluating Sharon Giles. She's working from the motivational strategy. She's doing the speak and feedback portion. Previously, she's given a speech. She received feedback, and she's now employing that feedback in a second speech. So I will be looking at for what she wants me to focus on is her gestures. Her prior evaluator, Scott, mentioned that she could smile more and use gestures. So I will be looking for that. Separately, I'm embracing the theme of change. As you know, I'm an American sports fan, but in the spirit of our European constituents and also in football, I'll be using words like if Sharon had a great speech, well, did she have a clean sheet? If I approve of what she said, I might say that's quality, that's top shelf, or even perhaps, oh, that was lovely. I give it back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jon, that you connect linguistically across the Atlantic. Sharon, the stage is yours.
Let's go shopping. It's the weekend. Oh no, we're not going to Nordstrom, nor are we going to Saks Fifth Avenue. We're going to a secondhand store. We're doing shopping at a secondhand clothing store. We're transitioning from what used to be to what is fast becoming the norm. What is secondhand clothing? Well, let me tell you. Secondhand clothing means that you are purchasing clothes that was once worn by someone else. Let me share. That's pants, dresses, coats, jackets, anything wearable. These items used to be worn by someone else. However, they are still good enough. Much wear is still in them to be purchased at a resale shop. Many times you will find one-of-a-kind designs located right there on the racks in a resale shop. Buying resale does not mean throwaway. No, it means good quality material. Clothes that can be worn for many, many years. So why are they put there, Sharon? Because the person who originally purchased them was probably a fashionista and only wore them maybe for 1 or 2 years. And instead of passing them on, they didn't want to put them into the landfill, so they donated them, or they took them to a consignment shop, or they just gave them to a retailer or reseller. Fellow Toastmasters, the fashion industry, when it comes to creating problems within the environment, the fashion industry is the worst. You see, the dyes that they use, the chemicals that they put in the fabric to make these clothes, and then when the people throw away the clothes, it ends up in the incinerator or in a landfill. According to my research, 84% of clothes end up in the landfill. This is not helping the air quality. It is polluting our landfills, which needs to have materials only, such as plastic and other recyclables. Now, in my research, I found out that 2,700 liters of water is used to make a t-shirt. Now, just think, if you purchase a t-shirt at a resale shop, you're cutting down on the waste. It's been said to me personally that purchasing at a resale shop gives the buyer more flexibility because many times you'll find vintage clothing there. They'll find clothing that meets their personality, clothing that makes them stand out in a crowd. You see, many items found at resale are clothes that you will not find at Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenue, or other high fashion clothing stores. In my research, I also found out that secondhand clothing is online. And because it's online, I went online to find a resale shop. And the main one that's out there is called Poshmark. I actually set up an account. No, I don't plan to purchase from there, I'm pretty sure. But they actually hold parties on Poshmark. They have swap events. They have dance parties, and men are there just as well as the women. So if you're looking for a beau, maybe you need to sign on to Poshmark. Secondhand clothing, according to statistics, and I quote, is expected to become a major trend in the coming years, and it's due to the reasonable pricing. In 2019, 70% of consumers over the age of 18, that puts me in there, and maybe you too, said they were buying or were open to buying used clothing. In 2020, it jumped to 86%. Also in 2020, it has been reported that 33 million people who never ever thought about buying secondhand, guess what? They purchased apparel for the first time. It's been said that you can find one-of-a-kind designs. Many people purchase there because they find clothes that fit. They find clothes that have much use to them. And for families who are truly on a budget, and for those who are trying to teach their children value, it's a very good lesson to shop secondhand. Many people ask me, Sharon, do you shop secondhand? I say yes. I have never purchased clothing to wear, but I have purchased materials. I do crafts. I buy many, many lace objects that I use in my crafts. And stay tuned. I plan to show you all of that stuff that I purchased at a resale in a presentation that's coming to your Zoom room very shortly. In closing, I ask if you go to a resale shop, I go to one that gives back to the community. The name is Meet Repeat, and there are two here in my community. And what they do, they help women who are victims of domestic violence. You see, they come into the resale shops and they can wear and buy whatever they need without, or should I say get, because they don't buy, whatever they need. And they're also there for children. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I ask that you please transition your thoughts to purchasing secondhand. It will help not only you price-wise, but it will help our environment. I now transition back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Our next evaluator for Sharon is Jon. Jon?
Thank you very much. I feel like I didn't come fully equipped. I stand before you without a printer or an offering plate, but I'll try to improvise. I really was looking forward to this evaluation. I've always known Sharon as the voice, that deep, resonant voice that always speaks out truth and honesty. She's sort of like a wise elder who looks middle-aged, of course, but she has something just to offer. We're always better for having listened to her. Great opening. Let's go shopping. I guess what I'm saying, Sharon, is you had me at shopping. And then you transitioned into the second-hand thing. And you add a lot of substance to it. You talked about, well, there's 3 reasons why we should support it. It's environmentally sound, it can still be fashionable, and it's reasonably priced. And then you did an excellent job. Oftentimes we talk about social goods like, oh, we ought to give more. We talk about these things that are no-brainers, but you added statistics to it. It's almost like it's a research paper. You talked about 84% of clothes end up in the landfill, 2,700 liters of water for a t-shirt. I started counting my t-shirts and felt very guilty. And then finally, about 33 million of people are using secondhand clothes for the first time. So it was really great. You took the sting out of secondhand. Before this speech, when someone called me secondhand, I thought maybe I hadn't showered or I needed to shave. I thought it was a bad term. So you allowed me to transition and expand my definition view of that. As far as hand gestures, you did do a good job. There was once or twice where you counted things like this. And so I saw your hands just barely. Maybe when you count, it should be shoes, hats, things of that sort, so it's more apparent. As far as areas that I would work on for improvement, a lot of times I hear feedback on Zoom about the background. You have a lovely background for a social visit, but I would change it for the speech so that the background and this thing about money isn't competing with you. So if you can have a neutral background, I would do that. Also, for the first time, I seemed like your camera was off relative to your audience. So you seem to be speaking to a camera that wasn't centered with the audience. So I'd work on that. Finally, I would say this. When Scott talked about gestures, there is the hand gestures to add to it, but I think there's a bit of adding spice and a little more oomph, a little more seasoning to it. When you start about let's go shopping, pause. I'm not talking Saks Fifth Avenue. I'm not talking Nordstrom's. I'm talking secondhand. Pause. That's right. Secondhand. Are you still with me? And then get into that. So you really, and then at the end, when you're talking about you talked about your shirt, maybe that's a great time to really take the stage and show it and twirl around and really just be so proud. Do you know how much I paid for this? It retailed for, $135. I got 3 of these for $5, something to add visual impact, something we saw from Jason's evaluation. I love how you tease the next speech to come. I'm always excited for your next speech, and I even have a heightened anticipation of that. Thank you very much, Sharon, for your speech. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, John.